Fly me to the moon. Let me. Oh, wait a minute. I'm singing the wrong song tonight. No. No, I'm singing the wrong song. Absolutely, I'm singing the wrong song. Rocky Mountain High, Colorado. Rocky Mountain High, Colorado. See, y'all just thought that you just get Frank Sinatra when you come on my channel. So Rocky Mountain High. Not true. Not true at all. You will get more than that, definitely. Okay. Let me make sure everything's working on both sides here. So hang on just a second. Oh, come on, don't do this to me. Come on. I know you're out there, Rumble. Start Rumble. Don't do this to me. Okay, Rumble's working. YouTube's working. All right, let's do this. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Front Porch Brunch. Geez, oh, Pete, I just screwed up the intro. It's not Saturday yet. What am I doing? Welcome to Chattin on the Porch. My name is Brian Trippett. I am your Front Porch Conservative. This evening, we're going to be talking to one very interesting young lady who has taken Tip O'Neill's old motto to heart. Now, if you don't remember what the legendary Speaker of the U.S. House used to say, his comment was, all politics is local. Well, when you get through this evening, you will understand why my guest has taken that absolutely as her theme. She is an accomplished individual living out in the great Rocky Mountain area. She is an owner of her own business. And as far as being a social media content creator is concerned, let me tell you something. This woman has the fastest tweet on the western part of the Mississippi. She has a good 20-something thousand Twitter followers. She has a following now on YouTube. As a matter of fact, she's got such a following. She has 3 different live streams that she is the host of. ForestMommy University, Golden Showers, and Scissor My Timbers. She is funny, she is witty, she is frank. She'll tell you exactly what she thinks, and God help you if you are not ready to hear it. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you Jessica Fenske, aka ForestMommy. Jessica, how you doing, dear?
Good. That was a heck of an intro. Thank you. Thank you.
You're very, very welcome. And we've got, looks like your posse is starting to arrive in chat, so I'm all good with that.
Oh, hey, hey, Robert.
Welcome to my electronic front porch. How are you doing tonight, dear?
I'm good. When you said brunch, though, I started thinking about French toast, and then I was like, oh, bummer.
Okay, that's the Saturday morning live stream, and gives you an idea of how often I've been doing it now. It's like almost an automatic reflex. I go straight to that intro before it's like, oh wait, you're chatting on the porch. Just get this thing straightened out here real fast. So, well, how are things out in Colorado?
They're going well. Everything is wonderful. Everything is really calm and like totally chill. Just kidding. No, everything's great. Colorado's great. There's a lot going on out here. Like, how would you want me to? What part of Colorado would you want me to say?
Let's start with where you are. I know Colorado, and I know from your campaign website, which we'll get into later, there is Arvada. Am I pronouncing that correctly?
Arvada.
Okay, Arvada. So tell us about Arvada, Colorado.
So Arvada, Colorado, I've lived in Arvada, Colorado since 2010. I grew up in a different part of Colorado, but I've lived there since 2010. It's a western suburb of Denver. It's definitely a suburb. It's actually next to Golden, if anyone's ever heard of this company called Coors. I don't know if you've heard of Coors, but there's this beer they make called Coors. It's a thing. So anyways, it's like Golden on one side, Arvada, then basically Denver. There might be one other suburb. So it's about 60 miles out. It's rural still. They built a ton over the last 10 years. Ever since pot got legalized, they've, anywhere they could sprawl, they sprawled. But luckily, it's on the west side. So there's the mountain. So there's kind of like a break to where you can't sprawl too much more. So it's partially like a neighborhood community, partially still people with horses, partially this and that, a lot of random different areas. And I'm in District 4, which is the westernmost side of it too. So like up to the mountains. And the Superfund facility is right next to us too.
The Superfund facility? What's that?
Superfund. So there was this place called, just a little trivia for everyone out there. There was a place called Rocky Flats in Colorado. It's outside of Denver. And it was, for a long time, it was a private company, but then it became Department of, not what is Department of Defense, I think. And they made plutonium triggers. So no big deal.
Okay.
Like radiation and stuff. And, this
Oh,
big area.
I like that. No big deal, just radiation and
Yeah,
stuff, and then oh yeah.
yeah. It was like a big job for people, and then in the early 2000s, it got shut down, and it became a Superfund site. But now part of my district is a brand new neighborhood built right next to the buffer zone for it. So that's a little interesting. And Mr. ForestMommy worked there. He was as a they had a firefighter on site, or a firehouse on site, and he was a firefighter there for 16 years before it got shut down. So
Okay.
a lot of connections to, radiation and stuff. Pretty cool.
Okay, so you guys don't have to worry about your neighborhoods being well lit at night because, frankly, if you walk down the street,
We all
you might be glowing. I mean, for all we know. I mean,
know.
really. So
It's silly.
you said that you've been in where you are since 2010. Where did you originally grow up in Colorado?
So it's an area called it's Douglas County. There's a little town called Larkspur. It's where our Renaissance Festival is. If anyone's been to our Renaissance Festival, that's where I grew up. So it's basically halfway between Denver and Colorado Springs, along the foothills. So I was actually born in Chicago. So I'm one of these people. I'm not a native to Colorado. I came when I was 6. So like I'm not in the protected class of the Colorado native people, but I grew up here. I was 6. I feel like you kind of get a pass if you come as a little kid, right?
Fair enough.
So yeah, I grew up out in the country out here, just south of where I'm at now.
So, what brought your family from Chicago to Colorado, if you don't mind my asking?
Yeah, so Chicago is turning into a shithole, and so we were in a suburb called Berwyn, which is like a closer suburb. It's not like a Naperville suburb; it's like a little bit closer suburb.
Mhm.
And my parents I think my dad just saw opportunity. He had someone out here. He had a job he could come out here to do. So he was like, all right. So I went from a tiny bungalow in Berwyn, Illinois to 10 acres and like a barn and stuff. So thank God, because I was such a tomboy growing up. So it was like perfect for me growing up out here in the country.
Okay, all right. Let's settle the question now. Did you have your own horse growing up as a kid, or did you like what?
No, you want to know the story? Okay.
Yeah, let's
10
hear
acres in a barn, 10 acres in a barn. Everybody around us had horses. And
it.
so my family they moved out here because everything was cheap too back in the day. So of course my parents were going to buy property because that's what you do. Soil doesn't spoil. And it was so cheap in the 90s. Like now it's absurd. So they bought an agricultural property, but didn't like animals or anything. I was the only animal lover. So fortunately, I would have loved to have my own horse as a child, but I would have had to sell it because I moved out young. So I would have had to sell it at some point. And so I got to ride everybody else's horses, which I'm still trying to do now too, because my
Okay.
parents still own the house. Everybody has horses again around here. So I'm like, hey, need your horses riding a little bit? Because they're so expensive.
Oh, I know.
I always thought once I moved back into this property, I was like, I would get horses because I always wanted. And now I'm like, no, we're getting steers. Like we are getting cattle that we can eat before a horse, and I will ride the other people's horses. Because
I have a very dear friend of mine who used to work at a veterinary clinic. She worked there for 20 years. And she would tell, I mean, we bicycle together on a fairly regular basis. And she would tell me stories about vet. She wasn't a vet, she was like a vet tech. And she would tell me stories about where they would go out to these various farms in the surrounding area where I live, and the things that people would do and the amount of money that they would spend on their horses is extraordinary. So when you say no, it's cost effective, no horses, no horses. Cattle, on the other hand, raising cattle for beef could be a load of fun, just an
yeah, I'm
absolute
like
load of
two,
fun.
just like 2 steers a year. And someone else moved in recently down here, and like it's funny because the neighborhood, everybody's got it's very rural. There's ranches everywhere, but then this area is like everyone has like 10 acres around here. And it aged out, and even though it's very agriculture, there wasn't much agriculture. But then over the last handful of years, when it started turning around, now everyone's building greenhouses out here and like getting more self-sufficient, and it's really cool to see because we're on wells, so that's a great thing. And yeah,
Mhm.
it's great.
Yeah, I will give you one word of warning. Never assume that steer cattle are dumb. Now, I'll tell you I'll tell you one quick story. Years ago, when my family had our farm here in my area, my dad raised some cattle for meat, and one of them got big enough. It's time to take him away. So my dad had backed the pickup truck into the barn. He'd put the racks on it. He got the ramp right up to the back end of the truck. My sister was leaned up against an 8x8 post, and this steer is halfway up the chute. And my sister said, "Wow, you're going to look great in my freezer." Now, wait. As God is my witness, what happened next is true. That steer stopped dead in its tracks, turned, looked at my sister, and went, "Moo!" Bolted the chute, starts running around inside the barn. My dad's cussing like a sailor on leave. So the steer sees daylight at the front door. He's gone. He is out the front door and he's running up the road. My dad grabs a rope, gets in the truck, goes after him. And the next thing you see is this steer going around the bend of the road and my dad going after him in a truck. About an hour later, my dad has one end of the rope tied to the back end of the truck, the other end around the neck of the steer, and he's bringing him back. We'll just leave it at that for the people who are sensitive about animals. So he gets him back, gets him up the chute, gets him in the back end of the truck, shuts the gate, turns around, looks at my sister and says, "Gina, so help me before God, if you ever put me through that again, I'm going to kick your ass up into your shoulder blades. You're going to look like Quasimodo when I'm done with you." And he walked off. So no, never make the mistake of assuming that cattle you raise for meat are dumb.
Yeah, and they're strong and they're feral, basically. And yeah, I have friends out here who raise bucking bulls too, and it's like, woo, that's a whole other world.
Oh,
Man.
yeah.
He's
Forget
like,
those.
"Don't go buy that pen. I'm not sure what that was gonna do." I'm like, "Cool,
No.
I'll be over there." Then he's like,
No.
then he had like an old. I never got to sit on it, but he's like, "You could sit on the wood," but I never got a chance to do it. But oh well.
Oh, there you go. But you mentioned something that that we talked about backstage, and so all right, wait a minute. Next big question to settle: University of Colorado or Colorado State?
Honey, does it look like I went to college? I didn't go to college, or do you mean what I support?
Well, no, I mean, just growing up. I mean, there you are. You go off to college. I'm working from the assumption that it was either University of Colorado or you went to Colorado State. If I'm wrong, tell me.
I did not go to college. I check off the some college little checkbox. Okay, like some college.
Okay, so where did we some college, if you don't mind me asking?
So I went to a little bit of a community college that wasn't far from where I grew up, and then I went to a vet tech program. It's true. I mean, it's true. I went to a vet tech program for like a semester at a different community college, but at that time I got a bookkeeping job right out of high school, like doing data entry. And then she taught me how to be a full charge. She taught me how to be a bookkeeper I got paid to learn. I wasn't hot. Okay, honey, I wasn't hot till mommy got older though. Okay, like I had to work. I was on my own in my 20s. I had to work then. Okay, that's why I appreciate what I got going on now. But no, so I became a bookkeeper, and I was making, this was back then because I'm old, but I was making decent money.
Shut up! Shut
on my
up!
own. Man,
You're not old. You're not old. What the heck?
I mean, I'm okay with it. I'm doing okay. Like,
Look. I'm not gonna rat out your age. I know ballpark.
39. I'm 39.
Honey, I got you beat
40.
by 12. I got you beat by 12 years.
Well, sorry. So. Mr. ForestMommy is 17 years older than me, so okay, very cliche looking. It looks so cliche, but then you get to know us and you're like, oh God, these people are sheep crazy. I love it.
All right, now wait a minute. All right, you just swerved into it, so let's get Mr. ForestMommy. All right, your personality is fun, vivacious. You're out there. I mean, I've got a feeling. Correct me if I'm wrong. You've never met a stranger because you'll talk to anybody. What's Mr. ForestMommy like?
He's very quiet. He's he's blue collar. He just works his out. He loves to work. He just works. he likes to have. It's such a great situation, really, because he just really wants someone at home. You want someone at home, take care of your house, and cook you dinner, and I can totally do that. So I do that, and yeah. But he's great, and he lets me be me. Like, I don't know if we had to bring up, but there was a certain video I put out last year. He filmed it. Like other people were all like worried about it, but
Well,
he filmed it.
now,
So
wait a minute, wait a minute. It wouldn't happen to be. Wait a second here. Let me see if I can do this. Wouldn't happen to be. Come on, come on. Where are you at here? Ah, please, come on. Crap. It's not gonna let me do it. Wouldn't happen to be a video with you with a set of binoculars, would it? Or you're
no,
ratting
it's
out?
not that. It's not that
Oh,
one,
it's
but
not.
that
It's
was
not
my
that
first.
one. Okay.
Yeah, I
Okay.
don't think you. You might be too innocent. We can talk about this another time. But there's another video
You,
from July 4th last year that's going to be
you're.
quite the stir.
Oh, wait. This wouldn't involve sparklers, would it?
There you go. That's what it was.
I think I know the very.
Yeah, everyone
I
was
think I
just
know.
like thinks that's so funny of me, and I'm like, yeah, but my man of 14 years filmed it. I think I'm okay. Like, I think I got things figured out. We're good. Yeah, this
Well,
is like,
yeah, I'll pull this one up because for those of you folks out there are trying to figure out this young lady's general political philosophy, let me give you an idea of what she really thinks.
all right. They're out with a baby. Don't they know babies die? I hope they all die. Then they'll know I'm right. Oh, oh my God. Address 6921. No masks. Not enough distance. Hi, this is Karen. Yes, I'd like to call in my neighbors. I just saw them walking and they didn't have masks on. Correct. And they were only about 3 3/4 feet apart. It's so bad. Great. Thank you. Bye.
Okay, so you want to enlighten the audience about the origins on that one, or you want to?
Yeah, so I mean, I'll just say it. Once I got off of Facebook, and then once COVID stuff, I was like, okay, I still need to like scream. So I figured Twitter out, got on Twitter, and I was just screaming. When COVID happened, I was not in a good place, Like I was like, yeah, poor Daniel has to deal with. It's a lot worse on the coast within the cities too, that's for sure. But I was just like, this is not right. What's going on is not right. I don't care. I don't care what people think about me. I'm going to say what I'm going to say because this is not right. I'm hot. I've done what I'm supposed to do in life. I was volunteering. I do everything right in life, right? That you think that you do on purpose to try and make sure you're living a good life. And they were telling me I'm a bad person. No. And then I just knew, I don't, I was in high school when 9/11 happened, and then the housing crisis, and then, this and that and that. And so it's like, this is all part of that. Like, it was something I knew the minute it happened. I was like, there is something impending doom going on. So I was just screaming into I'm a normal, I mean, I'm not super normal, but I'm like mostly a normal person, okay? In Colorado with no connections to anything. And I got on Twitter and then I just made that video because I started to see people make videos and stuff, and so I did that. And then that got me a little bit. And so this account was banned for like over a year. And I thought I lost that video forever because I didn't have it on my phone. So now that I have this account back, I get to watch that video, which is it's so bad and so cringy, but it's like, this is literally what you guys are doing. That was May 2020. I made that May 2020, and that's what happened.
Yeah, I mean, truly, I mean, there's a whole portion of society that somewhere along the way forgot the very old rule: those who would surrender liberty for safety get neither. And somewhere along the way, it's not just an issue that they surrendered safety; they just, in my opinion, just lost their minds. It's like every ounce, and I say this, and granted, I say this back then, not knowing everything we know now about the thing that came out of China, which we shall not name, knowing its origins, knowing everything else, or knowing necessarily even everything about it. But everybody just took their common sense and shoved it down the toilet and flushed it.
It was gone.
And everything that your grandma taught you about how to get through disease or how to overcome, a virus. Nope, nope, nope. Grandma's wrong. Grandma's crazy. She just, nope, she didn't know what she's talking about. We got to listen to the scientists because, we got to follow the science because they know what the hell they're talking about. Mm-hmm.
It
Yeah.
was it was it was awful because it made me feel crazy where I'm like, this what is going on? This is colds have always happened and you're always supposed to get like kids get colds and you're always blah blah blah. And elderly people, I have two grandparents that one died from catching a cold and then it got worse and another one got pneumonia and it got worse. Like that was, it's not to be cold, but that was kind of a normal thing that happened. And then oh God, I don't like, we could get into that, but it was just wild how people were questioning this shit. And then they were looking at people like me where I'm like, I've been healthy all my life. I moved out young and I had to pay for my own health insurance. And at one point I was like, fuck that. I'm healthy. I don't need a doctor. So guess what? I became as healthy as I could because that's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to keep yourself. Not that everyone's perfect. I'm drinking wine, right? But like, that was the goal. That was what I thought we all were doing. An apple a day keeps the doctor away. And and they went against, and even if you just were like, no, this is what, and they're like, natural immunity was a conspiracy theory. Like, what even happened?
It's like I will argue that there's always been a certain amount of inquisitive contrariness to the American people. If you tell us something, we might believe you, but we're going to check it out first to make sure we know for sure that you're not shucking and jiving us and you're actually telling us the truth. Somewhere along the way, and I'm not saying that spirit has disappeared, but somewhere along the way, for at least a little while, we just kind of suspended all that and just said, oh, yes, they have the word doctor in front of their name. They must know what they're talking about. Screw that. No.
It's not like that. Sorry, my curtain just moved and the sun's coming.
No, yeah, she can't let the sun get on the wrong side. She might get a tan on the wrong side of the face.
Very specific lighting going on here, guys. Okay.
There's a reason why you look as good as you do, darling. We understand. We get it. There's a lot of work that goes into being ForestMommy.
It takes work. It takes a lot of work. Yeah, it was just the doctor. Yeah, it was just, and the silencing any doctor who said anything else. And I'm like, and it really did bring out the good doctors. I met some amazing doctors. And even my doctor is a primary care doctor, so a little bit outside of the system,
Yep.
But he still was pushing the vaccine and stuff. And I was like, I go in every year and you tell me how healthy I am. And now you're pushing. And then I'm like, I didn't even get sick. I think I got it, but I didn't get sick, blah, blah, blah. And it's just wild. People just, I don't know if it's big pharma specifically or just it's so weird how people all went in on this to be completely unnatural over a cold. They always said there's no cure for the common cold. Now they're like, no, you have to get a vaccine or if you want a job and travel. Like, how did that happen?
The comedian Gino Biscani said it maybe better than anybody else I ever heard in the most pithy way possible. His comment was, COVID is the flu with a better publicist. And I thought, God, he's brilliant. He's absolutely right. Because any other time in American history, we'd say, yeah, okay, it's a bad case of the flu. Yeah, it's whatever. No, it's the flu with a better publicist. That's really what it was. You boil it all down. But you brought up something, and I want to get into this because I find it well, not necessarily remarkable, but it always intrigues me how these things happen. You have a Twitter following of about, I looked up the numbers before we came on, about just a touch under 33,000. How long have you been on Twitter? And I mean, the other thing that is remarkable, when I jokingly said you are the fastest tweeter on your side of the Mississippi River, sister, ladies and gentlemen, I am not joking. This woman can rattle off tweet. She can do more in 60 seconds with a tweet than most people could sit down and write a paper and do all day long. It's just so. When did you get onto Twitter? Why did you get onto Twitter? And how do you find it now that Elon's got it? Because let's just get into that whole subject.
Yes. Okay. So Twitter, towards the end of 2019, I kept getting banned off of Facebook for semi-sexy stuff. I had like a sexy profile. And so I was like, screw that. And then people were like, you can post anything on Twitter. So I initially got on Twitter to be like, oh, this will be my secret sexy photo spot. But then COVID happened, and then like I figured it out. So literally, I got it September 2019. And I didn't start posting very regularly till March 2020, basically, and then and then it's just been nonstop ever since. It is silly. It's so silly. I was telling you before. I'm like, how am I on there so much? And I have a robust in real life, and I'm like doing all this stuff. I don't know, but I love Twitter. And this is the magic that happened is during Twitter or during those early years with COVID, speaking of when Elon took over. So at that time, they were censoring us. They were censoring us so much. And I know people on Facebook, and I was on Instagram. I would post on Instagram. People would attack you if you questioned anything about what was going on. I had friends from high school attacking me on Instagram just for questioning things, right? But on Twitter, I was finding information. No matter how much they censored Twitter, we found there was good information out there. And there was people who were not state sanctioned people giving information and talking about things. I mean, there were things I was learning at the end of 2020 about the PCR cycles and stuff like that. Like we knew all this stuff back then that's coming out now that they're just all trying to move past anyways, right? But it's so Twitter, and also about Twitter is the least amount of people use it as far as social media goes. It's the least used. However, it feeds the rest of them. The other social media sites post Twitter posts, right? And so I kind of have this idea. It's propaganda. It's whatever. It's magical spells to me. It's like propaganda is a magical spell. You say something over and over and then it happens or people believe it kind of. So it's not like necessarily magical, but it works in a magical way. And I think Twitter, there's something about it that has this magical essence to it where someone like me could just post. I'm not super educated. I have a very great life education, but like I'm not super educated. I'm not an expert. But people listen to me. And half the time I would get messages that said, thank you for speaking out. I can't speak out. That was half of it. So anytime I got a message like that, then I was like, I got to keep going. I got to speak out because these people can't speak out. So
absolutely.
yeah, so that's how long. Sorry, that was really long-winded.
No, that I told you before we got on here.
I feel really comfortable with you. We're having a great conversation.
Oh yeah, exactly. I mean, and that's what I want these to be. I've told different guests, I've told different guests this same thing. It's like I want you to feel like you're at liberty to say whatever you want, which is truly the reality. Because as far as I'm concerned, there's really no topic that ought to be off limits. And as far as I'm concerned, there's really no words that ought to be off limits. Words only have as much power as you give them.
Exactly.
Everybody gets hung up on, oh, you can't say that word. Why not? It's a word. It is a word. It doesn't do any more.
You're giving it that power when people do that. It's like, you don't have to do that. You don't have to make it let it make you feel bad.
No, exactly. So let me ask you a question. Because you mentioned something about, Twitter is the magic spell. I agree with that. I think, and stop me where you think I'm wrong. I think even prior to Elon getting his hands on Twitter, that it is literally what he calls it, the great town square. You can get up and tweet something, and before you know it, that sucker has spread all over Twitter, and everybody's talking about it. They may agree with it, they may disagree with it, they may whatever, but they're all talking about it. And it just spreads like wildfire. And to me, that's one of the more fascinating things that where everybody's having arguments about right now. You got Michael Schellenberger, Matt Taibbi, other great journalists who are digging into that period at Twitter when Dorsey was still running it. And you had, Yoel Roth and others, and they were just setting up censorial systems. But even in the midst of the censorship, information was still getting out, absent they're absolutely just like pressing some buttons and locking down control. How do you feel about Twitter now that Elon is running it? Do you feel it's better, worse, could be better? I'd like to see them do this. What do you think?
Well, I got all my accounts back, so that's been pretty cool. But I don't know. Like, I feel I pay for the Twitter Blue. And I don't give a crap. People can. It's so weird how people care. I'm like, I don't care. I just wanted to do it to do it. Like it's not a big deal. And people are like, you're an idiot. You're paying him. And I'm like, yeah. And I know I don't ever buy Starbucks ever. Okay, so I never support your evil Starbucks, and I pay $8 a month, whatever. But what were you saying?
Your thoughts about Twitter? Hang
Oh
on,
yeah, I think there's
I'll rope
more
you. I'll
people
rope you
making.
back in. It's like, yeah,
Yeah,
Twitter.
thanks.
You know,
You're a
okay, go on.
professional. You're the professional. You're doing great.
God, you're insulting broadcasters everywhere, my dear. Please don't do that.
Well, between us two, you can just be the professional.
All right, fair enough.
But I feel like there's more people getting banned. I haven't gotten banned, but I've also toned down. I haven't toned down a lot, but I've definitely toned down. I went, it's made sure I didn't say the R word and all things like that. I'm just saying that less, but I I don't know. It was interesting. The more people I'm seeing getting banned for the things they're getting banned for, I'm like, that's just as stupid as before. Like that's just as dumb. So I don't know what that's all about. I don't 100% like trust Elon either. Like I'm not a he wants to put something in our brain that could potentially control us from an outside source. I'm
Yeah,
just
that's
not
the
really into that,
problem.
I
Yeah.
just I feel like there could be nefarious uses for that. I don't know. But so yeah, I don't know. It is better though, it is funnier. I feel like it's funnier lately. So there's that.
I'll absolutely agree with that. I mean, the thing that cracks me up the most, and it's the hypocrisy of it, because folks on the left have argued for years that they're all about free speech and they're all about the open expression of ideas and they're all about tolerance and they're all about understanding. But let someone like Elon Musk get his hands on Twitter and loosen up the rules on what you can and cannot say. And, to borrow a line from The Dark Knight, everyone starts to lose their minds. Everybody's just going
Yeah.
crazy over this. It's like, wait, I thought you guys were all about open conversations and tolerance and all of us, having free expression of ideas, but you don't seem to want that with Elon. Why? I find it, I mean, I know why, because, and this is something that's in a lot of your tweets, and we can, since I swerved the car in this direction, let's just go for it.
We can talk
What?
about me. We can talk about me. So.
Oh, darling, we're going to talk about you all night long, don't you know? Because after all, it's your world, and we're all just lucky to be living in it. Okay, let's just be honest about it. So but one theme that I've noticed in a lot of your tweets is it's not even a matter of Democrat or Republican. It's not a matter of liberal or conservative. The one overarching theme that's in your tweets is freedom versus authoritarianism. So I guess my question is, how long has this idea been percolating in your brain? And this is a theme you're constantly coming back to. Why?
So, I mean, I just wasn't politically smart, we'll say this, early on in life, but I moved out young because I was like, I would rather be broke than live under your rules with my parents, So there was that kind of bit of me where I'm like, but I understand, like, if you want to be free, you have to be self sufficient, right? So I understood
Exactly.
that kind of from a young age. My parents actually, they were GOP growing up for the most part, not very politically active either because they're blue collar and working. And but they did take me to a Ross Perot rally in 92, I guess 92 or 93. And so like it's funny. My dad sent me the picture. He's like, look at that's how we got you. We made you a libertarian. But I think the whole time I was on my own, I realized my biggest, I had a job and all this stuff. And I was like, my biggest enemy right now, people want to blame the corporations. They want to blame having to have a bad job, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, actually, it's the money that's just going away from me working. Like, I think the people just stealing this money maybe are like the biggest enemy, and things like registering cars and all that. It just got like, what is all this? Like, so
Oh, exactly.
definitely had that
Exactly.
freedom, free spirit, I guess you could say, just like, and then you just start to learn more. And I was not paying attention for a long time politically. I was just living my life. I was doing what I thought was right by staying healthy, supporting who I thought was good to support, having fun, living I volunteered all the time, all this. And you just really when someone finally said monopoly on the government has a monopoly of violence, it's like, oh my God, they do. Like, they're allowed, first of all, to go around the country and do stuff, right? And then there is this, and I know people from both the right and left believe this, but it's like there is this, they're allowed to do whatever they want just because we have decided they are, like the humans have decided this government thing is, and it's blown my mind ever since. Not blown my mind, but it's just like, how there's no other argument. If someone is allowed to murder you or allowed to spy on you or allowed, like, then what's going on? Then there is no like, and then if people defend them, people who are in your own exact same level in life, they'll defend them doing that stuff. And it's just
Mm-hmm.
like, it's wild to me. If, like, when you think of it at the most logical, end, it's just like, oh, these people are allowed to kill people, which everyone says they're scared of. They're like, oh, if we have no government, then there'll be warlords and all this. And I'm like, well, what do we have now? Hey, Welsh, what do we have now? We have
Yeah.
warlords right now, and they are legally allowed to do it. So it's, yeah. So I've always had that kind of mindset. I never wanted to I'm not legally married. I never wanted to be legally married. I was like, that idea is stupid, but I also didn't want kids. So if that's where I'm like conservative, if I did have kids, I would want to have a mom and a dad and be married. There's things like that, but that's just not my life. So I don't do that. But yeah, that's another thing too. I'm like, a relationship isn't legit unless you can involve the government guns. Okay. I think there's a better way we could go about this. Like,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Talk
different.
about,
I understand why it's there because we don't have the good civil system for it. It should be religious in your religious way, right? And then if it's
Mhm.
about combining property legally, then, but they make it this way, and then they've made it, and now the government says, oh, everyone should be allowed to marry. It's like, yeah, you guys are the control of the legal marriage. Churches and stuff can say whatever they want, right? But like, you guys control the legal marriage. You're in charge. Why are you trying to scare people that you're not going to let people get married? That's your thing.
yeah,
It's
if marriage were purely a religious function, okay, then the church should and can and should say, no, these people can marry, these people cannot. Here's
yeah,
why. When
that's
it
their
stopped
right.
being a purely religious function and it start being a licensure of the state to be able to get married, okay, then the church kind of got aced out of having any influence on the matter. I mean, they still have a moral influence on the matter. I'm not disputing that at all. But the idea that they can basically tell anybody, no, you're not going to be allowed to be married. Well, this license says they can. What are you going to do about it? Your church may refuse the ceremony. Fine. They can still go to a justice of the peace and accomplish the same thing. So,
I think now they're forcing churches to do it. Now they
yeah.
say if a church doesn't do it, you lose your tax exempt status, which there's a whole other discussion about that, right? But like, that's stupid. That's terrible that they're doing
Yeah.
that. If I had a club, if the gay club, so I'm not gay, but like, I love gay people. Like, they're the most fun. I went to this gay club out here for years. I was supported them. I became friends with all sorts of different kind of people to get to know them and talk to them. And it was before the weird push that's going on now. But guess who was the first people to tell me I couldn't go dancing at their club because I wasn't vaccinated? Oh, the gay club. The gay club.
Really?
Yeah. So I'm like, okay, so you get, I know marriage is different, but I'm like, if a church doesn't, I believe in gay marriage, and that's fine. If you want to do that, fine. If a church doesn't want to, they don't want to. It's their private club. Just like I wasn't allowed to go dancing at this club, even though other people were getting monkeypox and they weren't having to show vaccination records for monkeypox. But like, I wasn't allowed to go dancing at this club that I supported for 10 years. Like, everything has been flipped over and like pissed people like me off who I can always say I've been doing the right thing, but like, I really have. Like, I really have. I felt like I'm not a perfect person by any means, but there are things I've done in life to be good, and I feel like my
Mhm.
life has been good because of it, And then I got, ugh, just makes me. I will never go back. I will never go back to track Denver ever again.
Well, I think what you're hitting on something that is the frustration of millions of people across this country, regardless of their political philosophy, it's this. I pay my taxes. I mind my own business. I try to live quietly. I try to go to work. I try to do the right things in my neighborhood, in my community, whatever. And it keeps getting harder and harder and harder for me to enjoy freedom. And, it keeps getting harder and harder for me to achieve the things my parents did or my grandparents did. And it's like, why are you constantly making it more difficult for me to just be a free individual and just enjoy my life? And it's like, I'm doing the right things, yet I'm being punished. This person over here is being grossly irresponsible. They're breaking the law. They're doing whatever, and it seems like you're rewarding them. And that's a tension that is getting worse and worse and worse. And I don't know. I don't know when or how that gets resolved. I mean, there's one way it could happen, and I'm praying God it doesn't. But it could wind up getting there real quick. I gotta say hello to somebody. What's up, Tennessee Outlaw? How are you, sir? Good to have you in the house. One of my favorite people who stops by. Now, since we've sort of hit that intermission point, for those of you who are just joining, my name is Brian Trippett. I'm the Front Porch Conservative. I'm speaking with Jessica Fenske, aka ForestMommy. She is a Coloradan and absolutely proud one, and is running for office, which we're going to get into in a minute. But I've got one last question related to Twitter and I guess social media in general. And maybe I should have led with this one. Um, and I'm always curious people's opinion on this matter. There are some individuals in life that, how do I want to phrase this? They can absolutely let everybody see a lot of aspects of their lives on social media. Some people are very quiet, they're reserved. Okay, they might use social media, but they're not what I call, putting everything out there, so to speak. What do you think? And there's no right or wrong answer on this, but I'm just curious. What do you think it is that gives a person the courage to be that bold about saying what they think or showing people parts of their lives on social media versus the other person that's just not able or willing to do that?
I mean, obviously the consequences as far as like I don't have a family, I don't have kids to worry about. I don't have a real job. So I don't have to worry about that. Like Mr. Forrest is self-employed as well. So we don't have to like worry about it messing up anything, which is also why I feel like well, I'll get into it, but like why I have to run, because I feel like it's not that I'm invincible, but bad or good, whatever happens, I'll survive. It won't be the end of the world for me. It won't, even if it makes things hard for a while, it'll be worth it because I don't have kids or something too that I got to worry about putting through something. So I think that's why it's been easy. I mean, I had started name doxing myself this past year, but and at the end of last year, now it's all is out there. So
You just said something that I want to get into, that whole doxing thing, but we'll get to that subject in a little while. So, okay, as I mentioned a moment ago, you are running for office and you are running for city council in Arvada, correct?
Arvada, Colorado. Yes.
Arvada. Okay. Now, here's the interesting thing about your candidacy, and I say interesting not because I think it's weird, but it's unique. You're running as a libertarian, so let's back it up from there. Okay, for you personally, why libertarianism?
For me, it just feels so. I'll be
Not
honest.
not even the Libertarian Party. I'm just talking about philosophically. What is it about libertarianism that draws you to it that you say, well, I'm libertarian, as opposed to saying I'm conservative?
Because I know it's best for me, and I know that a government controlling people and stealing from people is just it's not the best path. It's not going to work in the end, and there's a bad, what they're trying to do with the Marxism and stuff, like there's a bad outcome to it. If you have one group that says we have this power over you, that's not how humans work. Like it's not, you can't have that. And because nobody's the boss of me. Like Mr. ForestMommy isn't even the boss of me. Like I don't have, no, just kidding. He really actually is. But like I don't know how to explain it. There's just not, we need to be protected from this gun. They have nukes. They have nuclear weapons. They are not good people. If you have nuclear weapons and you go to war with other people who have nuclear weapons or proxy war, whatever. But like, these are not good people. I don't have
No.
like, I like to be able to defend myself. I have weapons for that, but it's like, I would love a nuke, but I'm not going out of my way to be like, I need to get nukes so that I can threaten other people. Like, I understand the need for a state and an army, like I get it, but like overall, it's like actually the way they've used it has not been good. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Just always, I don't think the government's. I think it's it's terrible. It's a waste.
Well,
As I want to get into it, of course.
no, hey, I told you, say whatever you want on this channel in this interview. I don't care. I would much rather you be you and be real than be reserved and just,
I have such a hard time not being me. Like even during that, I'm like, I need to stop saying some of this stuff, but I can't. It's so hard to not be me. Like if you meet me in person, I just can't. Like it's just who I am.
Jessica, let us help you lay down the burden tonight. For the next however much longer this interview goes on, you are at complete liberty to say whatever the hell you want. I don't
Well, thank you.
care.
I like it with your accent. What the hell? I like it. It made it
Oh,
right
oh, oh,
more
honey,
warming.
honey, I haven't even poured it on thick yet. Believe me, there, people have all. I had an interesting thing in my life. I grew up where I am. I grew up in West Virginia, moved out to the Midwest, and came back. And I will argue to my dying breath that the Midwest took the edge off my drawl, and it just you can hear it, but not every so often. But if you get me really wound up and you get me saying something, and oh yeah, the Southern just comes out like that. It's like flows like
I
butter.
like it.
So, but yeah, you can say whatever you want on this channel. So, all right, libertarianism and Coloradans. I said before the stream, or maybe at the beginning, it's all running together now. That it seems to me that for the people of Colorado, there's always been that sort of libertarian streak. In other words, you do you, I'll do me. So long as you're not getting in my grill and I'm not going to get in yours, I don't really care what you do on your side of the fence. When you cross my fence and you start, trying to get in my business, okay, then we got a problem. Now, that said, if that streak is still there for most people in Colorado, why is it politically, in your opinion, that it hasn't come through more in terms of law, in terms of policy? Because I have seen you railing against Jared Polis, the governor you guys have got out there, like he's a mad fiend, and you would just love to kick his rear end if you ever got the chance. So what gives with Colorado?
So the biggest thing was basically they, like I said, there's this book called The Blueprint. When they came in, they took over the cities, Boulder, Denver, and Fort Collins, which there's a lot. That's where there was a lot of people along the Front Range here. They took over because I even had clients because I'm technically a real estate agent. I'm like not a busy one. I do it sometimes.
Now,
Um,
agent or
so
broker, agent or broker.
everyone in college is a broker. I do work under somebody, but like we're
Okay,
all independent. Like if I want to do something, I got to get the business, do the business, and close the business, right? But
okay.
so like I had clients who owned businesses, and this was during COVID. They owned businesses that were shut down, and they were still going to vote for Biden, even though he said he was going to shut down businesses more. So it's like I don't understand. I think they were just it's like the spell. If you don't think about it enough, which I've been guilty of before, if you don't think about it enough, you just see a little bit and then that's what your thing is. So these people are on Facebook or whatever and they see a little bit. Oh, well, you can't want to. I posted about this today too. People are so scared of people on the right. And I'm like, you are being bigoted. If you are instantly like, we can't talk to anyone on the right, because that's what's the big thing today with Polis again today too is the GOP and the Libertarian Party in Colorado. We've been in talks. We've been talking to them like, hey, your party's a mess, like our party's a mess. So why don't we like try to work together a little bit and try to run better candidates and like we won't spoil each other's races and all that stuff. So I don't know. It's like I don't know what happened, but I'm hoping with this coalition building, and we also built coalitions with the Green Party and the Anna Party too. Like we have all this stuff going on that I'm hoping it'll bring it back to everyone's like, even in the city, you can still be like live and let live. You don't have to. And guess what? The crime in Denver, like all these people bought all these very expensive houses in Denver, and the crime is terrible. And like, I'm sorry, but no matter how far you are on the left, once people are breaking into your house, you'll do anything. Like you will do anything to be against that. So, yeah.
Yeah,
Oh
here's
yeah.
that statement. Here's that statement you're talking about from the Libertarian Party of Colorado, that you've negotiated the Republican Party of Colorado has negotiated a deal with the Libertarians where, and I'm going to quote this: "If we run more limited government and pro-family nominees, they won't run spoiler candidates. Together, we can break the stranglehold of Democrats' one-party rule over Colorado." I think this is fabulous. I
I
really do. This is
know.
this is something that's like been waiting to happen for a while.
Yeah, and it's
Absolutely.
been so ever since. So even before I said I was going to run in January, I did this speech at like a political thing, and these people came up to us, and they're like, obviously GOP type people, and they're like, "We don't care anymore. We want to make friends with you." So we've all been talking, and I will say, I want to put this up for the people. So in the Colorado Libertarian Party, our chair is a woman, first of all, and our vice chair is a Latino man. So if you want to play identity politics, we are winning. Okay, we got all the things checked off. So don't even try to come at us. We are so well rounded here in Colorado. So every time we get attacked for stuff like this, and Cato is coming up and the classical liberal caucus, they're going to make a statement. Like I made a video, I didn't put it up today, but some guy's like, the guy who does the classical liberal caucus, he's like, I need to gather my thoughts so I can put a statement to this Colorado. I'm like, you don't even live here. You don't even live here. We don't care about your statement. We're doing what is best for us out here. And this is what's working. And the GOP people in my area are supporting me. And they know they know what's important is important. We are changing the culture out here to say, we're not going to play the stupid culture wars. We're going to play the government get out of our family and our business culture wars, so we don't have to worry about that. And people want to attack us, and it's goofy. And I'm like, okay, cool. We're doing stuff out here. We're making the news. I'm getting doxxed. Like there's something happening out here. I feel like we really are taking it back. We're like the next New Hampshire. I feel like the next New Hampshire thing.
Glory, glory, hallelujah. I've been waiting for that spirit to hit Colorado and other states out there for a
Because
while
everyone's
now.
like, move to New Hampshire. I'm like, no, I'm not giving up on Colorado. I'm not giving up.
No. Well, it's like New Mexico. New Mexico and Colorado, at least from my observation, and you can stop me wherever I'm wrong. I've always thought they were very similar politically. Now, granted, the Democrats, I would argue, even have a stronger hold on New Mexico than they do Colorado. But,
Yeah, I think so.
but as far as philosophically the people are concerned, there's that independent, leave me alone, get out of my grill, let me live my life, you live yours, and we just all mind our own business sort of attitude that, you know, but yeah, I'm dying to see that happen for Colorado, because that would be just tremendous, because y'all have had some great, great political leadership come out of there over the years. And over the past, I'll argue 20 years, man. And I think you touched on this earlier. And if you haven't, let's get into it. I've said that there's that wonderful streak about people from Colorado, but your state is getting overrun by them California refugees. Am I wrong about this, or is that true?
Yeah, it's happened like over the last decade, definitely. It's been, although it was even going back in the 90s, I feel like there's people complaining about it back then. But yeah, it's definitely happened. Definitely people who, it was more expensive out there. And even though it was expensive here, it was a little cheaper than there. So their money went further here. So they came here and they did. It's just people who don't pay attention enough. And they just are like, they want to just do what's easiest and they think this is right. And I mean, during our last election, 2022, when the governor got reelected, he never even mentioned the COVID stuff at all. You know what I mean? Like,
Uh-huh.
it's crazy. Oh no, woman is big. I know. It's crazy. The GOP, we're just like, they want to work with like they are racist. Oh yeah, we have people be libertarians out here who hate us. They went out and they went to the paper and said we're all white supremacists and all this stuff. And I'm like, what is wrong with you? And they all come after me on Twitter and stuff. And I'm like, I love them because I can use them, but I'm like, I have a black co-host on one of my shows. I have an Indian guy on my other shows. Like, what are you talking about? If I'm a white supremacist, and I'm so sick of this. And this is what they've done because Facebook trained all these people to do it, to be like, anyone on the right is MAGA, terrible. Start with the whole Charlottesville and all this stuff. Like, they have brainwashed people to not even want to work with anyone. And I know it because I felt that a little bit too at certain points in my life where I was like, I always felt like I was, strong, independent leftist woman at the beginning of my life, maybe for a little bit, but I wasn't paying attention or doing anything either. So yeah, it's like, and then I'm like, what's wrong if people want to have, the thing is, the culture war stuff, the problem with the culture war, you have the left and the right. The problem is there is this apparatus that you can force culture on people with because there are guns and nuclear weapons involved. So can we work on just this? And then you won't have to worry about forcing each other to live each other. Like, you can leave each other alone to some extent. And guess what? If you're going to do drag shows in front of kids, people are going to be upset about it. There's going to be people upset about it. And you can't force acceptance. I've never forced anyone to accept my life. And I know, like, a lot of people wouldn't, so I never forced it. But I don't get this forcing thing either. It's just wild. It's wild. And we need to focus on the government and get it out of there.
Well, and I mean, you brought up something that I've been talking about for a while, and I think a lot of people have too in different ways, is that, people don't think about it, they just accept this stuff. Well, the reason in part that it takes hold, there's that, and then there's the other side of it where, up to now, a lot of people don't agree with what's being done. They just don't say anything. And I think it's now reached the point where, Eric July, aka Young Ripa, has a phrase that I absolutely love: get in where you fit in. And what he's getting at is this, and he was talking about it in the creative space. I mean, as a lot of people might be watching this show know, he started his own comic book company, Ripaverse. And he's out there in all kinds of creative endeavors: music, comic books, social media content creation, etc. And his argument is, look, you may not be able to do everything that I do, and I can't do everything you do, but whatever talent you've got, wherever you are, speak out. And that's where we are. A lot of the reason this stuff takes hold, and you got a bunch of crazy people in elevators who are 6 feet apart. One person's wearing a mask, another person's not. The other person wearing the mask, like, you're not wearing a mask. Get away from me. You're going to ma'am, I'm not sick. I'm healthy. You're not wearing a mask. You're not listening to the science. Ma'am, I'm not sick. And the reason that in part we are where we are is that a lot of good people who would otherwise go about living their lives quietly, they just don't say anything. And it's reached the point it can't be this way anymore. People have got in their own way, with their own methods, they've got to find a voice, and they've got to stand up and say, no, I don't agree with this, and here's why. Here's something you ought to think about. Has anyone told you this? In whatever way, in whatever manner is available to you, find that voice. Do what you need to do, speak out. But you kind of hit on something else. Mises Caucus. I have heard this term thrown around for years. I know a very little bit about the Mises Caucus. She smirks. She smirks with almost disdain at the mention of the Mises Caucus. This is going to be
the organizer of the Mises Caucus. So.
Okay, all right. So for a conservative, and I know a little bit of the background on Mises, but for the benefit of people who are non-libertarians, what is the Mises Caucus? What does it do? What function does it serve inside libertarian intelligentsia? Go.
It's so hard to explain, kind of. But basically, the Mises Caucus is a bunch of normal, a bunch of normal people who came together during all this madness, and we're like, well, they came together before COVID. I don't know. It's just a group of people in an organization. It's a PAC, basically. I think it's a PAC, and they're gonna change. They might change that eventually, but yeah. So it's a PAC that can support people. It's really they had they wanted to focus on things within the Libertarian Party, and so like one of them was running local, so that
Okay.
was part of what like lit a fire under my butt. I'm like, I need to walk the walk here. Um, I don't. It's so hard to explain. We're just like a group. Crash. Oh yeah, you know Crash. We're so normal, Crash. I want to say normal, but I said this today or the other day on Twitter because someone biblical anarchy, he was talking about how everyone's always trashing on the MC, but like if you want to work with the MC, we'll work with you. They're the only people who are pushing people out or gatekeeping are some people. It's not the music gods. We're like, please, we need help. Like everyone show up. We need so much help. You know what I mean? So
Mhm.
um it's just a group, a pack technically, but you know, they fundraise, they're doing candidate training, so they have their own like programs and stuff. Um, as far as like the upper echelons of it and stuff, I don't know. I don't know all the like beginning stuff. I just know during COVID, people of a certain they were the people who were speaking out more online, like or in line with what I thought. Oh God, yeah, we got a troll here.
No, don't worry. I saw it. I'm not giving it breath.
Yeah, it's great. No, it's fun. It's fun. Like it's some dude has been cosplaying as me, and I'm like, hey man, you couldn't have picked a better girl. I'm gonna say that. Like, if you want to pretend to be someone, pretending to be me is a pretty good choice. Anyway, so I've just found the caucus was the most support. Like, and then when I started actually getting involved in the party and stuff out here, um, they were just there, and it was family. It was all sorts of different kind of people, single people, families, women, you know, it was a lot of women there too. You know, the whole joke is there's no women in the Libertarian Party. So, yeah, I don't know. It's just this group that's like any other group within the party that's trying to do something. But we work with everyone. The only people who won't work with us are people who won't work with us. So that's how
Okay.
it goes.
Okay. So one last question, then we'll get specific on your race. If you asked me to identify myself politically, I would argue conservative. Obviously, you identify as politically speaking as libertarian. If somebody asked you, what's the difference between a libertarian and a conservative in your mind, and there's no right or wrong on this. So, I mean, I'd like to get your take on it. If someone asked you, what's the difference between a libertarian and a conservative, you would say what?
I would say the similarities is they both want small government and the government not involved. The difference between conservative is they will live their life in a conservative way, whereas libertarians say you can live in a conservative way or in a non-conservative way. So I would say
Okay,
maybe
so
that's
there's
the
more like a
difference.
social. There's in your mind for conservatives, there's more like a social imposition on everyone else. In other words, I live
Not
this
even
way,
on
therefore,
everyone else, just you think like this is the best way to do it, so everyone should do it. But you're not even necessarily imposing it because you don't want the government either, you know.
right?
So
Okay,
I would say
okay,
that, but I also think like conservative isn't a party. You know, I don't think the GOP
true.
is a conservative. I think conservative. I've always I think libertarian is a party to work in this political system. So I guess that's a difference too. You know, conservative is more of a way of life, whereas libertarian is it is also a way of life, but it's also like a party as well.
Hmm. Well, and we were mentioning something I think backstage, and I think we both agreed on this. It's not so much that conservative and libertarians don't get along as much as it is the Republican Party, for the most part, and libertarians don't get along because the Republicans are, and stop me if you think I'm wrong, Republicans are scared to death that libertarians are going to, like, take their lane on the political highway, so to speak. In other words, we're driving on the right, and here comes the libertarians. They're going to just move us over on the shoulder, and away they go. They get more influence than we do. So, I mean, stop me if I'm wrong, if that's what you think, or if you think different, let's hear it.
No, I agree with that. And it's just how it's been for so long. Even like with campaigns, the right has win red and which
Mhm.
isn't as bad as the left's ag blue, but you know, like that's been really interesting. I'm like, wow, we really are glassroots because it's just me and my 5 friends doing all this. Whereas like if you're on the right or left, you can kind of sign up for this program and they put you through it. You know what I mean? So
Sure.
and I know like that's what I'm hoping, like, especially with Colorado, like what happened today. I'm like, if we can just not convince, but like there's a lot of GOP people who aren't who they want small government. They're conservative, they want that. But when you only have two choices, of course you're going to go with that, right? But
Yep.
so I'm hoping the culture is changing, that people are seeing there are other options, and there are people who are building coalitions and not just building fake Twitters of people they're jealous of, basically. So,
Very
there's like
true.
a lot going on in this world. And it's so funny how people are so weird. But what are you
Oh,
going to
I
do?
know, I know, absolutely. So before we shift gears and get into your race specific, since it's at the top of the hour, and I kind of do this broadcasting quasi thing I do, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Brian Trippett, and I am the Front Porch Conservative. I am interviewing Jessica Fenske, aka ForestMommy, who is running for city council in her hometown. So, having done the broadcast thing, let's get into it. All right, you said the Mises Caucus kind of gave you the kick in the butt to run. So, laying aside Mises Caucus for a moment. Oh, I love the sound of that corkscrew. That just makes me want to go grab it. No, 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 don't be sorry. I just think it's great. It's like, oh, it's just tickled my ear. Uh, anyway, laying aside the Mises Caucus for a second, what was it that said, "Oh no, by God, not in my hometown. I'm running"? What was it? Was it one thing or an accumulation of things that made you file the paperwork and go, "I'm running for city council"?
So I don't know if you know, but there's another libertarian running in a different district.
I've heard about
He's
that.
in we like meet, we go at our county affiliates, so we see each other and stuff. So he was like, and he actually comes from the GOP, but he's found a home kind of with us because we're like, he really does have like libertarian values. So he said he was running, and I was like, I've been kind of, I knew I didn't want to. I
What,
knew I
what,
never
what
wanted
was
to.
it's like, oh my
Yeah, so I
God,
was
he's
like,
running.
okay, I looked in my district, and my district seat was up, and no one had filed to run yet. So, from a
Okay.
strategic point, our campaigns manager out here, Jacob Loria, was like texting me, and he was like, I mean, our whole thing was we want to try, even we have people, even out here in the country, because I'm at the country house right now, and even there's someone nearby, he's a libertarian, he got on the Metro board. Like, we need to get people on all these little boards and all these little things, right? So, I was like, okay. And so, because of my life, because I have a decent life, because I'm not like I didn't need to like eat food with my if I get campaign money and stuff like that. So I just felt guilty, like I have to do this. And with my online presence, I already had that built. I already had my online platform built, right? So it was
Hmm.
kind of like, all right, if I can inspire other people to do it, because I'm such a normal person. I'm just a regular normal person, I don't know a lot. Like, I don't believe in the snobbiness of government. Every time I go to an event, I'm just like, oh, these people are so snobby, and like they're not the normal people. They're not the constituents that you would work for when you're elected. So he was like, well, no one signed up yet, and if you're first to sign up, it looks good. So I'm like, okay, all right, here we go. I'll do it. And I didn't even think it would be a big, like I wasn't thinking it would be a big thing. I didn't know who was going to run against me would, but I knew he probably would because he turned out at large. So now he's running in the district to try and
Hmm.
keep, he would have been 12 years. He's trying to go for longer.
Oh
But
God.
so yeah, I have the text and I've poked because people are like, "Oh, you're only doing this for attention and blah blah." And I'm like, "I didn't want to do this." And so I like posted that I said, "Okay, I'm doing this. Like, let's inspire people. I know I've inspired people with other things before. Just speaking out is inspiring to people." So I posted on my Twitter, "I'm running. I filed my thing. Here we go. No big deal." And then so yeah, John, that doesn't make me feel bad. There's one people like I'm like, do they not understand that like women want that life? Anyways, well, probably not because whatever. So this person has been watching all of my stuff and splicing together stuff, trying to make me look bad, but it's all public stuff. It's hilarious. It's actually, I mean, it's stalkery, but we're just not going to worry about it too much.
No, like I said, I saw it. I'm not giving it oxygen.
Yeah.
You know.
It's just funny what people like. I'm like, I've spent 3 years being like, yeah, man, I worked my whole 20s and now I don't have to work if I don't want to. Like,
Hmm.
I'm not a feminist. I'm not gonna like feel bad about that. So I filed, and then that's when I got doxxed by that dude, which was 12. It was not even 12 hours after I filed. By the time he
That
was blocked
yeah.
by me, and he blocked me, but he still got it. It was,
All right, so that's the story I want to get into. I've kind of
yeah,
followed this, and I remember generally what happened. Correct me at what point I'm wrong. So you file, some reporter decides to like give out what name, address, and obviously name, obviously your name's out there, but gave out your
yeah.
address. What happened exactly?
Yeah, so he saw me post that, and so a couple months earlier, I had caught he had threatened to dox a friend of mine, like literally texted my friend, um, like threatening messages that he was going to out him and all this stuff. So I did a show on it, and on that show, I said we're going to talk about how my friend is being threatened to be doxed by um, a professional journalist, right?
Mhm.
So we did that. And in that episode, I gave my name, blah, blah, blah. So this journalist still he really did not like me. Like I didn't even, there was other ones I called out more during COVID, but this one, I don't know what, I think it was because I busted him doing it to this other dude. And he was like, oh, I'm going to show, like a true psychopath. I'm going to
Yeah,
show you. So he, he posted, obviously he must have been waiting to see when it got like filed on when they actually like put it on the website.
sure.
So he put my name, but that first thing he made was this anti-vaxxer. She hates government and wants to be government, blah, 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 But so, well, he did that, and then he posted the actual affidavit. So it is public record, but the way he did it was it
Yeah,
was very doxing. Like he even admitted later on, but he posted that. He took that one down really quick. Like I think once he started getting backlash, he took the one with my address and my phone number on it. Oh, this is what's funny too is on that affidavit. So it's a
hmm,
nonpartisan race, right?
right.
But I was just filling out the affidavit, and I put Libertarian Party of Colorado. I just put it on there, like I wasn't thinking, and they made such a big deal about it. They were like, "Oh my God, they're bringing partisan politics," but it's always been GOP versus Democrat.
Right.
Anyway, so I digress. But yeah, he put that up, and then the best part about it is one of them. He's like, This is the public sphere. This is the public arena now. This is what you can expect." And then as soon as he started getting attacked, he cut off comments. He turned comments off. He couldn't handle the that.
Oh,
So that's when it
oh.
kept getting like quote retweeted and stuff. You know what I mean? And so
Uh-huh.
yeah, that's when it blew up. And then he wrote this apology, and I had texted him because I had his phone number from when he had texted my friend. So I said, "That didn't go how you thought it was going to go, did you?" Blah blah blah. He was like, "I'm sure you'll post this," and I actually never posted his text. Like, "I'm sure you'll post this, but like, I think you should not talk about." So someone had made an account where they said something. Maybe his dad died from the vaccine, and then a friend of mine retweeted that. So he had this. He wanted me to be harmed. He wanted to send people to my house because somebody else made a post about his dad, and like just the
Jesus.
it's much like this cuckoo who has a whole like profile dedicated to me. Like these people are so messed up in their head, and they're not confident in who they are as people, and they're not strong people. They're weak people, and they just can't help but like let that side go, right? Like I'm honest about all my flaws. You can go over all my videos, and I will say everything about me that's good or bad, but these people can't. And so when they see someone like me who is honest, they think it's an attack on me to like be like this. And yeah, anyways, it got me more followers, and it's all good. So
Okay.
what are you gonna
Okay.
do?
So
No one's, we're more strapped than ever. I have a man, so come at me if you want. The whole neighborhood's blue collar, everyone's armed, and you know.
I like that. Yeah, we're strapped, we're blue collar, we're armed. It's like, hey.
Yeah, because after it happened, I like went and told some of my neighbors because just to keep it, just in case, because people online are literally crazy. So
What
yeah, they were all
are
like,
you
"Well,
saying
we're armed."
are you saying that people on the internet might be a little bit strange? Really?
Yeah, and it's fun to be crazy, but some people are like a different kind of crazy where it just doesn't make sense.
Oh yeah. Oh well, now wait a minute. We have a question from here in the audience. You want to answer this one, or you just want to kind of let this one go? It's
No, I can talk about it
all right.
because
Go for it.
I even have a shirt now that says it. But so during when I got doxxed, Jesse Kelly, who I never really followed Jesse Kelly, I knew he was a conservative, bigger
Right.
voice. He had shared it and was like, "Oh my god, this girl sounds awesome." And he has 600,000 followers. So anyway, so he shared it. He said, "Oh, my producer will get with you and blah blah. We'll set something up for you to come on." So after then, two different people emailed me to two different email addresses of mine. And then I was like trying to set it up and I have it all. And they were just like very vague. And I was like, oh, they probably found out I'm a little crazy. They have sponsors on a show that big. Yeah, they have sponsors. They have to answer to people. They're not like, we have a lot of freedom, right? But they don't. They have a lot of reach, but they don't have a lot of freedom. So
Now
I
that's
was
true.
like, whatever. And then if I emailed one and I said, this feels scammy. You both are emailing me and it's weird. I'm asking what time, like we decided a day. And I was like, okay, what time? And they kept emailing back like something weird. I'm like, what time? So then finally I'm
Mhm.
like, I'm out. Like, whatever. And then he responded another one's like, oh, you emailed the other guy and said I did. Like, it was just weird. I'm like, oh my God, I'm just trying to set up a time. It's not, how hard is it for us to schedule a time to do this show? It's not that hard to schedule a
No,
time, right? So whatever. So that happened. I didn't make a big deal about it. Whatever. Another big podcast invited me on and uninvited me too, but whatever. Like it happens. And so later on, when the whole Steven Crowder stuff was dropping about Steven Crowder and his wife when they're getting divorced, and I said something like, okay, because Steven Crowder and Alex Jones talked shit on libertarians one time, and then and Steven Crowder was like basing it off of like Reason and Cato and DC libertarians, and I'm like, that is not a representation of libertarians in this country. So I made this post and I was like, listen, Steven Crowder, he's talked crap on libertarians and he doesn't even know us. And then I said something like, and they gatekeep. And I think that's why Jesse Kelly uninvited me. I didn't tag him. I just typed out Jesse Kelly uninvited. And it wasn't even like a main point. I was just like posting these examples of us being gatekept from a little bit higher up voice or bigger platforms. If you're a normal person like me, like some people have made it, like Clinton stuff, but like I was like, there is a purpose to this. Well, and then all of a sudden, that Jesse Kelly's account shared that post, which he wasn't even tagged in, and said, or first he said, Jesse uninvited you because like he just said all this stuff. It was very like weak man shit. Again, like there's all these weak men out here. It's just driving, like, why am I having to be stronger than some of these men out here, right? But so, anyways, he posted this thing, call me a nightmare lunatic. So it's like, and people were calling him out too, and they were blocking him. So I don't even know if it was Jesse necessarily, or if it was his producers and they screwed up. And I don't know, like it's weird. And then okay, so he has 600,000 followers, right? I
right.
have, at this time, I have like 30, and like he's like, you went public. And I'm like, I just literally said I got uninvited. I did, and it wasn't even like mean. I just said I got uninvited. Like that makes me look bad more than you guys. So what the fuck do you care? Right. So, and then he said, and I'm like, you told 600,000 people you were going to have me on your show. So don't talk about going public. Like these people are and they really do gatekeep us. And we are the normal, like we are, as not normal as I am, like we're very normal people, and they can't have it. And that's why I've been silent so many times and banned so many times, because they can't have it. They can't have normal people inspiring other normal people to be like, oh, you can just be your normal self. You can say, I don't want to work. Yeah, I still work, but I work. But like, who wants to work? Like, that's, worked
Well,
all my freaking life before now. But anyway, so
well,
yeah, it's just,
it's kind of like my dad used to say, if only we had all been born rich instead of good looking. You know, what are
but
you
if
gonna
you're
do?
good looking, you can maybe use it to your advantage sometimes.
Yeah. There's a lot of people done that over the years, I take my dad's comment one step further. Money can cure a lot of ugly. It can really cure a lot of
Oh
ugly.
yeah, that's
You
true.
know, yeah. But speaking of people who have reach but no freedom. What's your thoughts about Tucker's first couple of videos he's put on Twitter?
I haven't like watched them all
note.
solidly, but I love Tucker because I love to impersonate him. Like, it's the worst impersonation ever, but I love it.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Tucker Carlson. Tonight,
they were wearing masks.
My shoulders going up and down. You know,
I don't know why. Every time like they clip that out of I'm like, I'm Tucker. I don't know what it is, but I mean, I'm interested. I wish I knew what really went on because I know if Fox fired him for what they like for being against stuff.
Well, here's the fascinating part to me. And he posted his first 10-minute video on Twitter about a week ago tonight, 6:00 at night. And I did a reaction video. I was recording it he put it out at 6 p.m. Eastern. I was recording my little video at about like 5 minutes after 10. By that point, he had gotten 60 million views.
Just on Twitter.
Just on Twitter in a 4-hour period. And to me, that is evidence of the fact that, and I'm not going to sit here and tell you all 60 million people are like this, but I really do believe there is a palpable hunger among people for somebody to just say, here are the facts. I'm not going to hide anything from you. Y'all make up your own mind about what you think it means for your life. And that's the one thing I admire. I mean, there's a lot of reasons why I like Tucker Carlson. To me, he's one of the last of the true old school journalists. But one of the things I love about the man is he will absolutely just lay it out there and be like, do what you want with it. It's up to you. I'm just going to like, here's my take on it, but my take may not be yours. Here's you can have it and do what you want with it. So, but yeah, let me do a Jen Psaki here and let's circle back. Your city council race. So you've declared, you've been doxxed, you've been tweeted about, you've been tweeted on, you've been retweeted, you've been everything else.
2 other hit pieces on me.
Tell you, you're over the target when you're getting that kind of flack. But generally speaking, how have you been received since you declared? You've been out meeting people, you've been talking to people, you've been knocking on doors, you've been walking around wearing the Jessica for City Council button, or whatever that may look like. So what kind of reaction are you getting out there in your neck of the woods?
So far so good. I think a lot of people just want to talk, which that's my whole thing with door knocking, is just I'm not selling anything. You can talk to me. I want to hear your issues. So people are so receptive to that because everyone wants to talk about their issues. So that's great. A lot of the businesses in the area are helping and support me. Like I said, the GOP out here supports me. And they're like, so the guy I'm running against 3 years ago, people tried to recall him because he told basically the whole city, as an at-large person, he told the city that we were too stupid to vote on something. So this is the guy I'm running against.
Come again with that?
He basically said, so Arvada is a huge sprawling suburb, right? And so some cities, I understand, will have one trash service. And I understand that. They tried to make it so we had to have one trash service out here when we didn't previously. And he said we can't vote on it. It was just their decision. So this is what happened. So they voted it through. Okay, even some Republicans voted on it. That's a little shady. And everyone got up in arms and they started this recall against my opponent and another lady she's not on anymore anyways, but I have the official signatures from the recall list and stuff. So I haven't been to many of those houses yet, but I'm like so excited to be like, hey, remember that guy? He's running again now in our district. And he thought you were too, they wanted to recall him. So that kind of stuff is cool. Like that I'm getting help in this, like, I'm good at connections and talking and networking. So it's kind of like this politic way that I didn't want to be in politics, but it's like a fun way to do it where people like want to support me. And these people are like, we know you're a little bit crazy. We know we're so thankful you don't have a job because you have time for us to come out and do the work for us. Like, but I still have a job. I still have to do real estate sales here and there. But anyways, so like, it's great to hear people accept me, especially when there's people I met through the GOP and I was like, they were like, they were showing me Twitter stuff, and I'm like, I'm on Twitter, you should follow me. And they're like, oh, we do, honey, we already do. And I was like, oh no. But then they like love me still. So
All right. So when is the election?
November 7th.
Okay.
November
Okay.
7th.
All right. Now, so let's say you get elected. No, let me rephrase that. When you get elected, you get sworn in. First thing Jessica wants to do is what?
My first thing is I'd like to develop a way beyond a newsletter and beyond just the city council meetings to get my constituents involved and wanting to be involved and wanting to pay. So that's the whole thing is I want to change the culture of local elections. You talk to people about local elections and their face like glazes over. You know, they can talk about Trump and whatever, but like local stuff. So if I can start a revolution of some sort or whatever, like that, get them in. I actually have a lot to learn. So luckily with all these people contacting me, I'm learning a lot about like different commissions and committees and stuff that way. But I'm going to like make them, you know, the movie Dave where he pretended to be the president.
Yeah, Kevin
I'm going to
Kline.
be like in that meeting with the like budget meeting. He's like,
cabinet.
no, we're going to sit down and we're going to talk about it. Right. So I'm going to do a lot of that, like explain it all. I would love that it just turns from these corporate, like I don't want to do it more than 1 or 2 terms at all. Like I told people, shoot me if that happens. But like to get more normal, so we keep it turning over with more normal people.
Fresh
you know
ideas.
what I mean? Like, so that's what, you know, that's how I would like to. That'd be like one of the first things is getting the message out, getting people more excited and more excited than, you know, everyone can get really riled up when there's something bad going on in the neighborhood. They're building a warehouse or whatever like that. So to keep people interested, if I have to be a little bit of a rabble rouser, which that'll totally never happen.
I could never possibly see that ever happening at all. I couldn't see you walk into a city councilman going, y'all a bunch of idiots, and here's why.
You know what's great though is the mayor that's stepping down. So the mayor election is as well at the same time. He always was like really flamboyant and silly and stuff. So I'm like, okay, they've paved the road a little bit. Trump's paved the road a lot of bit. So like, you know.
Ain't that the truth? Now, I'm gonna pull up something on your campaign website. There's one line on here, and I really want to get your answer to this. In the opening paragraph, it says, I want to make sure government is kept in check and our freedom is represented. Okay, so here's the question. You get elected, you're sworn in. How do you manifest that as part of public policy? What does it mean to say the government is in check and our freedom is being represented?
It means that I will be the barrier between anything that is a government versus the citizen, whether that be asking for more money for a project or whatever, that I am like the first line of defense. It's not, there isn't going to be a side telling me or a special interest group buying me, you know, there's not going to be that. It's going to be what is the citizens, like what's the logical thing that you know, don't have to give money or whatever. So I guess that would be a good way to say it. Just protecting the people from the government first, thinking of it from a citizen versus government, because too many people are right and left. And it's like, no, we need to think from a citizen. Every little thing they do, we need to think of citizen through government.
Agreed. So let's say you serve your couple of terms on city council, maybe 3 at the most. Do we have higher ambition? Are we talking mayor? Are we talking governor of Colorado? Are we talking President ForestMommy here? I mean,
no, like I
where
said,
are we going?
if I do 2 more terms, like I don't want to do more than 2 terms. And like some of the GOP was like, oh, you should do our state house district. I'm like, no, stop talking about that. Like, don't say that.
Okay, all right. So city council it is, local government it is. So, as we start to wrap this thing up, any last words you want to put in, the things you want to say to people? You know that if people are thinking about supporting you, if people are thinking about voting for you, what is your message to them?
First of all, just do it. Just go, even if you don't go, like get on the ballot, go see what it takes. Go see what little boards you can get on, what little things, all these, there's so many little boards in the state and so maybe just to educate yourself, because that's what I did, because I jumped in. I'm not somebody who wants to be in politics. I want to sit at a swimming pool all the time if I could, like I don't, like, you have to go learn this stuff. So go learn it. Don't feel scared. I think what happened to me was, it was just the culmination of everything that's been going on for the last couple years, that I don't think other people will get doxxed within 12 hours for the most part. I don't think that'll happen to most people. I think I was just it's just crazy. Whatever like everything that's happened has made me be like, okay, I guess I am supposed to do this, because everything's gone crazy. I have so many haters, and like I'm still like, okay, whatever. Like, it doesn't affect my personal life, it's not. So don't be scared. Just try, just the research, and just to start. Most of the not everyone lives in a city township and whatever, but like if they do, just try to start watching the city council meetings. Most of them put them on YouTube nowadays. So like, like put that on. So
Okay.
I guess that'd be one thing.
All right. So I've taken the liberty of putting just about every stinking link for people to how to get to you in the comments section on this video. But if people want to reach out, if they want to help you, if they want to donate money, if they want to volunteer, what are the many and multiple ways that people can get to ForestMommy?
The best. So I have a link tree. It's ForestMommy. There's emails on there. There's a Jessica Fenske at jessicafenske.com email. The website, you can fill out the little thing. But as far as social media goes, I'm pretty much only on Twitter. I do my podcasts to YouTube and Rumble. But yeah, I'd say jessicafenske.com. You can reach me the easiest there.
Okay. Well, Jessica, thank you for stopping by the front porch. It has been an absolute pleasure. Hang around for a few minutes and we'll say our proper goodbyes. For people who are watching this live stream, please go out to ForestMommy's YouTube page, her Twitter page, Rumble, Odysee, anywhere she's out on social media. Sign up. Give this lady all your support. She's an absolute sweetheart of a human being, number one. Number two, she's doing something that most people will never do. They may talk about making a difference. She's trying to make a difference. And that, if for no other reason, is worthy of your support. As for me, well, I'm just a humble little content creator. But if you could do me some favors, if you're not a subscriber to my channel on YouTube or Rumble, please do so. We are a small little concern. We like to be a going big concern, but we can't do that unless we've got you. So thanks for stopping by the front porch, everybody. We genuinely appreciate it, and we'll see all of you next time.